No. All right. I'm gonna trade you 2 sheep for that wood. Tell me, honey, does that sound good? 'Cause all I really wanna do is take away longest road from you, yeah. Welcome to these tabletop sessions. Welcome to these tabletop sessions. Hello, fellow gregarious geeks and gamers, and welcome to the 47th episode of the Tabletop Sessions podcast. This is your monthly dose of tabletop gaming stories and shenanigans. My name is Elias, and with me today is a man who desperately wishes he could go back to being just 47. It's Hippocrates!
Hello from the desert.
How old are you now? Is that a rude question?
To reveal that, but I'm gonna say I'm less than 50.
Lies. Let me tell you, sir.
No, it's true for the next month.
I had some friends over to play a game last weekend, and they were talking about we were talking about Civilization or something, and I said, I'm going to set up that game of Mega Civilization. Maybe I can get Ipo to come visit so we can play it. And then I was saying something about how, like, you know, something about your age or something. And they're like, why? How old is Ipo? And I'm like, Ipo's not young. Like, he's. And they're like, no, come on. Like, based on his voice, we thought he was super young. And I was like, no, like, let me show you a picture of Ipo. And they were like, see how, I was like, how do you imagine Ipo in your head? And they're like, oh, you know, Uncle Jesse from Full House. They just went to the first Greek person they could come up with in their head, which is Uncle Jesse from Full House. And they thought you were Uncle Jesse from Full House. And I showed them your picture, and needless to say, you are not Uncle Jesse from Full House. And I shattered their dreams of you, I think.
Uncle Jesse from Full House. But that was a... I mean, I don't have this 80s hairstyle, if you...
you don't have any hairstyle, really.
No, I do have a hairstyle, the bald one.
Yeah, the lack thereof. Yeah. I
mean,
yeah. I just think it's so funny that they imagined a person with perfect hair. But yeah,
it's always like that in the podcast. You're imagining something, and it's so random, the voice, and they're not really matching the image. It's just a random match that.
They assumed you were young. Exactly. Turns out you're almost 50. So, how have you been?
Which is young.
Yeah, very. Compared to like, turtles or whatever. What have you been playing recently?
So recently, I went to Japan for a vacation, and I was trying to in all of my trips I'm trying to buy some games. So I visited 2 or 3 board game stores in Japan, but they have their own publishers, and they're publishing everything in Japanese. So I was very afraid. I was trying to find games that are not language dependent.
How dare they publish games in their own language? The hell?
And then I was thinking, okay. So I was so close to buy Barrage. Barrage, I don't know how do you... Is it a French game?
Barrage. Yeah, Barrage, yeah. The one about the water? The hydroelectric water?
Have you played that?
No, I've wanted to, but I haven't.
I wanted to play. I mean, I haven't played it, but I know it's in Board Game Arena. Maybe we should play it, like, to see what's going on. But there is a fuss about this game, and I was thinking, okay, let's buy it. But it was a very heavy game, and it was expensive. And I was thinking, do I want to buy a game that I'm not sure I want to play. And then I realized, okay, let's buy the games I really want to play. And so I came back and I ordered Zendo. I ordered Zendo from
Sorry.
Finland, I think. So Zendo is on its way, and I'm really happier than if I had bought
Well done, buddy. Well
the
done.
Barrage game, I think.
I'm really
But
happy for you. I'm so happy for you that you finally have a copy. Well done. Well done.
I want it so badly.
Hopefully, I will be getting some more games in soon. I'm part of the Spring 2024 Toronto No Ship Math Trade. So on the 16th, we're submitting our want lists. And, I've got like 20 something games on there. Let's see how many I can get traded. I haven't done a math trade in a couple of years.
Anything interesting that you're trading away?
Maybe for you.
Yeah, like any games in the top 100 of BGG or games
Probably.
that I love.
Let me tell you what's in there. Golem Arcana, Pax Emancipation, Tobago.
Golem Arcana, I thought you loved that game.
Yeah, kind of. I love the theme of that game more than the game. Tang Garden, Tragedy Looper. You like that one.
Yes.
Four Gods, Fog of Love, Genesis, Akrotiri, Deep Space D6, Fugitive, Mud, Side Effects, Custom Heroes, Isle of Sky, Honshu, Rhino, Hero Super Battle, Elder Sign, Artifacts, Inc., Lost Explorers, A Ton, Castles of Burgundy, the card game, because I like the real one, Flea, Nitwit, Number 9, and Subtext. Nothing heart-wrenching. So,
okay.
Let's see what I mean, the PAX one, it's honestly my least favorite of the PAX games, and I just don't see myself bringing it out very often. So,
what PAX game was that?
Emancipation.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
if you don't find if you don't find a trade for Tragedy Looper, I'm willing to trade a game for you.
What game would you trade? What game would you trade?
A shitty game that I don't care about, I guess. But I mean, most of the games I like are in Qatar now, and so I have to check what is my collection in Greece.
Yeah. Well, I am coming to Greece this summer, so I'll see you there. If you want, I can bring Pax Emancipation, or sorry, Tragedy Looper if needed. So yeah. Great. I see here, good friend, that speaking of things that are missing, I see you've been playing Alice is Missing, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so first of all, Alice is Missing is not classified as a board game in Board Game Geek. Did you know that?
I did not.
It's an RPG, and I tried to register our play after we played it last Saturday, and it's not in Board Game Geek, and I guess it's not because it's just an RPG, and I mean, I don't really know what's triggering something that could be in the Board Game Geek category, and this is not. Anyway, I want to talk about it. So Alice is Missing is a 90 minutes RPG, plus sometimes that you need to prepare this, which in our case was a lot of time, because we had the print and play version, which basically I recommend because it's very easy. I mean, that same morning my friend bought the game, he went to someone to print it, and then we were cutting with scissors and gluing the cards. There are not so many cards, I guess like 40 cards that we had to glue and cut. And it's a 5 players game. And each one of us is playing a friend of Alice. One is playing the best friend of Alice. The other is playing her brother. The other is playing her secret girlfriend. One is playing the secret crush, and the last one is playing a friend that he's living away and he's coming back for the weekend. So the story is that Alice is already missing for 3 days now. And the group chat that we have as friends and her brother goes on fire. The group chat is a WhatsApp group where the game suggests you that you should change your friends' names in your phone and place there the characters' names, which is extremely important in making the atmosphere that you need for this game.
Also, sounds like a huge pain in the ass because you have to fix it later. Otherwise, you're like, who the hell is that?
Exactly. Yes, that's true. But it's only 5 people. Actually, without you, it's only 4 people. But I would suggest people to also change their names, because at some point my friend tagged me in the group and it came out as Hippocrates, and that was like threw me off, because all that time I was not Hippocrates, I was one of the characters of the game.
Wow.
So you need to
You were
so you need to
super
change
immersed in it.
you need to change your name too. Because when this happens, then you learn some basic background story things about your character, and you also you draw a card, and that card gives you a secret that no one else knows about you and your relationship with Alice, and somehow you must reveal that secret during the game. The game doesn't give you exactly the secret, it gives you a concept. So for me, it was something that I did with Alice the last night before she got miss, and nobody knew about it. So I made up the story that we went to the park and we met some weed. As a reference, you need to know that Alice is a 16-year-old high school student. So it was a big deal going to a park and and doing some weed. After doing that, then you need to turn on the amazing Alice is Missing soundtrack, which is on YouTube, and then you're ready to go. The soundtrack is, I don't have words. It really gets into you, because at the same time, no verbal communication is allowed during the game from this point on. Even if you want to communicate something out of the game, you need to text the group in brackets and say, okay, this is out of character and I need to go pee, or I need to go and my mom is calling, something like that. So the soundtrack is really part of the experience, because there's silence other than the soundtrack, and you keep texting your friends and you see their character's name, so you are really getting into the character. The YouTube video has also a 90 minutes timer on it. So as the minute passes, every 10 minutes or so, a player draws a card and gains some information, or something happens, and that thing will reignite the group chat. So at some point, maybe you don't have you have revealed your secrets, you have talked about what's happening, and you have nothing more to say, but then something new happens during these 90 minutes. So now you have new things to discuss. And at the same time, you can always send direct message to the other characters. The whole experience was amazing. I don't have words to describe. I have never experienced something like that before. It gets emotional in the end, and the card deck is structured in that way where every 10 minutes you draw one out of 3 cards. So there are alternative stories that can unfold during these 90 minutes. But I don't really see the point of this, because the designer actually does not suggest you to play the game again after finish it one time. So it could have been like just one straight story and you play it and you're done. And it's a great game to spend, I wouldn't say 90 minutes, because you need another 90 minutes to prepare. and discuss about background stories and stuff. So it's a great game to spend 3 hours, and it's very easy to acquire since it's a print and play. So that was Alice is Missing,
A
and you
friend
can
of
find
mine
it
here,
online.
yeah, a friend of mine here has it, and I told you we started a game of it while we were stuck in the woods with a tire that went flat, and we were waiting for um, the person to come. They needed almost 2 hours to get there, the vehicle, but we didn't get to finish it. But I do agree that the soundtrack was really cool, and the whole concept is really cool. And I'm always a fan of these sort of experiential things, like my least favorites, even though I'm in two campaigns at the moment, my least favorite kind of RPG is Dungeons and Dragons, like where you go and hit stuff with a sword. Like my favorite ones that I've experienced are things like Alice is Missing, Dialect, the one where you're creating a language and then the language is dying over time. Like that's a really cool one. And there's one, for example, called Dog Eat Dog, which is kind of like a simulation of the economic inequality of colonialism and stuff like that. Stuff like that, I usually come away from them feeling like I've had sort of an enriching experience, and those are usually my favorite RPGs. So I'm gonna maybe try to schedule with the guy who has the game. Maybe we can schedule an actual full session of the game and get through because everything you said sounds great. However, I don't think I want to change all the phone numbers in my phone, so maybe we can like create a Discord group just for
It's
that game.
5 minutes. It's just 5 minutes. It's not that okay.
Yeah, I don't want to change my own name either. That seems very complicated. So we could probably create like a Discord group and then have everyone's name different in that and then chat that way instead of having to be ineffective and bad, uh, disorganized. But uh,
Also, the other cool thing about this game is that you can play it online with your friends. So we could have played it.
we could have.
You don't
See what you did?
you don't need
Yeah.
the physical presence of other people. Anyway,
I'll
highly
definitely,
recommended.
yeah,
Alice is
yeah.
Missing.
Sounds really cool. Thank you for sharing that. Um, I've been playing a bunch of stuff. I've been playing Legacy of Dragonholt. Dima and I are going through the campaign, so I'll report back on that when we're deeper into the campaign. I've played Gloomhaven, of course. I played Vijayanagar again, that three-player coin style game, and I played that same faction that felt like I was being beaten in the head with a metal chair, and I won. So it is possible
Ah!
to win with them. Just needs a bit of experience in reprioritizing. Sort of, you can't sort of protect everything, so you just gotta figure out what's valuable and what you have got to keep. So
But did you play with noobs?
I played with one who played with me the first time, and then one new person. But the new person was Cheng, who wins at every game. So I feel
Uh,
like I feel like it
so
was pretty
kudos to you.
equal, all in all. But yeah, the good news is still love that game. Like it more now actually. So um,
Oh,
I wasn't wrong about my review. So great, good news. But what I want to talk about today is the last game I played, which is Dune: War for Arrakis by Marco Maggi and Francesco Nepitello, and published by Simon. And this is a new game that just came out. It's the same guys who designed War of the Ring and Battle of the Five Armies. And it's in the same vein as those games and like Star Wars Rebellion, like that kind of game where you have either 1v1 or 2v2, and you're basically playing these factions that are trying to control, and they're usually set within some sort of movie IP, whatever it is. Everyone knows, I think, at this point that I adore War of the Ring. Like, it's one of the best games I've ever played. So the question was, how does this one turn out? Because of all my experiences with Dune games, I'm not a big fan of Dune the game. We tried to play that a bunch of times and never had like a really great experience. I think you've been there for a few of them, Ipo, and I
yeah.
enjoyed Dune Imperium, but the Dune theme you could give or take. Like it's a good game, it's a solid game, but I don't think it feels like Dune. So I was excited for this one.
100%.
And this game is 2 or 4 players. We played four, uh, and it's basically Atreides versus Harkonnen. But when you're playing in two, you're dividing into factions. So Atreides plus the Fremen, Harkonnen, and House Corrino, the Emperor. Um, I would definitely recommend being familiar with Dune, at least watching the new movies before playing this, because this theme is basically the new like Dune Part Two, but it's even more enriching if you've read the book because there's a lot of stuff in there that's from the book. So, um,
Really?
it yeah, it's the same. It's the same concept as Lord of the Ring, which is you have these action dice, which have like on each side there's a type of action you can do. You roll them, and based on what actions are available, you do different things that turn. You're moving troops, you're mustering, you're placing vehicles, stuff like that. Nothing original in that regard. Another thing you can do is you can use any of those dice to, instead of do that action, you can play a card from your hand. So that's nice, gives you some flexibility. And then you have these like leaders on the board, and these leaders they give you like, let's say one of these leaders can do the muster action and another like slightly better version of the muster action. So they're just like slightly improved versions. And the goal of the game, again, this is very high level, guys. The goal of the game is to try to get a certain number of points. So you might do that by destroying sieges or settlements, buying points with spice that you've mined, or getting points from prescience cards that you bring out. So without explaining too much about the game, let me tell you the cool things, potential issues, and my overall thoughts on the game. The cool things. Most of this game
Mhm.
is cool. I really like this game. So the way it starts is as the I play, we played the Harkonnen. You start with 8 dice, and the opposition starts with 4. Um, but as opposed to like War of the Ring, where you're gaining a couple more dice when you're the free peoples, and this one you're never gaining more dice as the Atreides. However, whilst you have less dice available every turn than your opponent, you can do something called Desert Power, and what that is you can add worm sign tokens, and what those do is they make it very dangerous for the Harkonnen player to go out in the desert, but also
Ah,
because
so
because the
thematic.
because the Fremen can ride the worms. Spoiler, I guess.
Spoiler alert.
Because they can ride the worms, you can basically move across multiple spaces that have worm sign tokens on them. So even though you're like not doing anything, like playing an action, you're still making it harder for your opponent to move and easier for you to move. So when you do an action, it's more effective because you can move more effectively and they can move less effectively. So it's a really nice balancing thing. Another thing is
How
those
many?
dice.
Sorry, how
Yeah.
many worm tokens we're talking about?
Well,
Like
every time
one,
they do a
one or
worm
two?
sign thing, they can place two,
Mm.
but that's a big deal. Like being able to move 2, 3 spaces in a turn is huge. Um,
Yeah.
Another
Do
balancing
you
thing
also?
for this, yeah, go for
Sorry. Do you also have Zendaya tokens? Ha
it.
ha
Fuck
ha ha.
off. It's a little creepy when people know you're almost 50 years old.
Yeah, that's why you shouldn't say. Okay, anyway.
Anyway, so another thing is the Harkonnen. They have to pay sort of 3 different factions a certain number of spice every turn. Basically, you have like minimum export numbers to the Spacing Guild, the Landsrat, or the Chom. And um, if you don't meet those criteria, you drop on this table, and then you get like a sort of ban. So, like, oh, you're no longer able to field armies bigger than this size. You're no longer to. So basically, you have to spend a certain amount of those dice, even though you have more dice. You have to spend a significant amount of them
Oh.
collecting spice instead of fighting your enemies, because otherwise you get
Oh.
hit with a bunch of, yeah. So it's a very cool mechanism. I really, really enjoyed that. Um, and
So it's
also every
completely
time,
asymmetric.
completely, and every time you drop one space, you lose a dice on that spice like export table. You lose a dice. So like, other than the fact that you're getting a penalty, you're also getting less actions for next turn because you have less resources because you're doing a bad job exporting to the people that matter. Um, but
Oh.
overall, I love that mechanic. That sort of balancing mechanic of, even though I, as the Harkonnen, start with double the dice you do, you have a benefit of having less than me, which is desert power, and I have to spend so much of my time trying to collect spice rather than worrying about fighting you, because otherwise I'm hit in the face with a bunch of issues that I have to deal with later. I really like
What's
that.
the winning
Another
condition?
points. So, like for the
Oh.
Harkonnen, you can get points one of two ways. I think the main way is by destroying sieges, which is like the Fremen hideouts, but you don't know the value of them. So you have to spend time during recon
Oh.
to know the value of them. Otherwise, yeah.
Nice.
The other way is to, and you can only do this until you have got 5 points. After 5 points, you can't anymore. The other way is to buy it with spice. But after you buy, which again, I told you, you never have spice available. So another issue is you can only do that for the first half of the points. Then you can't do that anymore. Um, a very cool thing that we was also in the game, which is an optional rule, is you have these cones of silence, which are from the book and the movie, where like a cone of silence comes out and nobody can hear you around. The reason it's cool is when you're playing a four-player game, you want to talk to your teammate, right? But your opponents are sitting in front of you, and you have these three cones of silence tokens. So Dima was on my team, and I kept wanting to like tell her stuff in Arabic or whatever so that they wouldn't know what I was talking about. And she's like, no, that's not cool. They don't speak Arabic. And I was like, okay. So what I would do is I'd pay the cone of silence and then I'd speak to Dima in Arabic so they'd have no idea what we were talking about. So it's a very cool,
Wait,
yeah.
is this in the game or you just
Well,
made
not
up this?
not to speak in Arabic, but you get privacy to speak in private. You can basically
Oh.
leave the table and speak. But rather than do that, we just
Oh.
spoke in a different language. So, but I
Which is
really
very
like that.
thematic again because it's a
Yeah,
desert language.
exactly. Uh, but yeah, now the components are fucking insane. It's Simon, so it's all big ass plastic pieces and huge things. Too much plastic for my taste. But it's got a table presence, and if minis are your thing, this one has a lot of beautiful minis in it. Um, I'd be fine without them, but other than that, no complaints about the components. Everything was excellent. And then we get to like the combat of it. So when you're fighting, to me there's a great thing and a not great thing about it. One is it's super fast, unlike War of the Ring where the whole game goes on pause. War of the Ring, and you're fighting. This is like super quick, few seconds, combat's over. Excellent. But the result is it also feels less epic when you accomplish something. So like when you destroy a siege, it only took a few minutes and a couple rolls. You're like, eh. Whereas in War of the Ring, when you break a siege and you take an elven stronghold, it's taking you half the game to do that, you know? So it feels way more epic. So the
Yeah.
downside is it feels less epic, but it makes for faster gameplay. The only real thing that I can criticize, like actual, is something from my opponents. The main way they get points, they can destroy our settlements and stuff, but and they can like destroy our spice crawlers. But the main way they get points is by these prescience cards. So every turn, these prescience cards come out, and they give you multiple ways to get lots of points. But they get points in three different colors: red, green, and yellow. And at the beginning of the game, they have a target like, oh, you need 10 yellow, 3 green, and 2 red, or whatever. And the problem is sometimes those prescience cards will come out and they won't have the color that you need. So, like, they had the people we were playing, they had to get 10 yellow, but we never got the really valuable yellow prescience cards come out in the
Oh.
game. So I think there's a way to like shuffle them in and pull out more cards, but overall there was a little bit of like luck and timing aspect to that. Which is why I think, well, I don't know why they lost the game, but they lost, and they think that that was one of the reasons. The other reason is that they left a lot of sieges unguarded, and we attacked them very aggressively. So that's another reason they lost the game. I definitely need more playthroughs before I can criticize that, because I need to play as that side, and I
Yeah.
need to know if there is a balancing mechanism. But my overall thoughts on this game, if they were not clear enough, I really like it. It feels like Dune more than any of the other Dune games. Um, it's a hell
More
of an
than any
experience.
other of the Dune games?
Yes, more than any other of the Dune games.
More
Um,
than Dune.
More than June, for sure, for sure.
Wow.
Um, it feels great. The cooperative aspect when you're playing two versus two is really nice, and the cone of silence really adds like a mechanism to it. I enjoy how fast the combat is. There were some times that I wished it was a little more epic in its scope, but I love the way you balance uh, d- uh, dice in terms of using it in combat versus transport versus acquiring spice. You know, there were moments where we chose to go down on the spice export track and face a ban and lose a dice, but we bought a point because we really thought it was valuable to buy a point at that time. So it gives you these decisions to make, and I really, really enjoyed that. Overall, I super recommend this game. Um, it's
Wow.
I'll give you a quick ranking of all those types of games. My favorite is still War of the Ring, but Dune War for Arrakis is in second place. And then we have
Oh.
After a Ways, Star Wars Rebellion, and then Battle for the Five Armies. Um, so that should give you an idea. Like, and I would say that this is way closer to War of the Ring than it is to the other two. So high recommend. If you like Dune, if you've read the books, if you like the movies, if you like uh, sort of combat games, area control that are very thematic and have lots of interesting decisions to make the entire time. If you love team games, I recommend this to you. I have one more thing to say, and it's the most important thing. My friend Chris, who owns this game, had bought a tiny little plastic red button. Okay. He bought it for $10 at like a grocery store or something. I don't know, toy store. Now, this button, you can press record and you can record something on it. And then whenever you hit the button, it says that thing. So he recorded the Dune theme music. Uh, the one, it's the one that goes like, that one. So basically, um, every time we declared like combat on each other, somebody would slam their hand down onto the red button and it would declare combat. And we'd be like, yeah, let's go. And it really brought a lot to the experience. So, what I can say is, if you have a red button somewhere that you can record custom audio files on, I highly recommend using it not just for this game, but for every game because it is the best way, apparently, to play board games. So, thank you, Chris, for enriching my experience significantly. And there are my thoughts and my experiences on Dune War for Arrakis.
I saw the button. The button was amazing, and I have a very, uh, vibrant Dune community here that they will be very interested in learning about this game. How much time do you need to play the game?
It took a while, but to be honest with you, it got faster. So to put it in perspective, we won in 4 turns. We took overall about 6 hours, but
Oh,
we we had lunch for like an hour. Um, but more important than that is the first 2 turns took like 70% of the game because we were a bit slow. We didn't know where to place vehicles, stuff like that. So we had much more of a strategy later on, so we knew what we wanted. So I think you could probably play the whole game comfortably in 4 hours if everyone knows the game. I think that's a good amount of time.
so it's approximately what's the basic Dune game was the duration.
Yeah, but the problem with that June game was you couldn't really tell how long it would take. Like sometimes it would take an hour, sometimes it would
Yeah,
take 6 hours.
exactly. Yeah.
So that was kind of an issue. But this one, I feel like it's more consistent with War of the Ring. You can be sure you're going to be there at least a few hours.
All
You know
right.
what I mean? Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Very, very interesting. Okay. So let me tell you about another game that I wanted to talk tonight, which is Kanban EV. EV stands for electric
Woohoo! You
vehicles.
got it.
Uh, So my friend Vicky got that game just because you were talking with so passion about On Mars the other day, and it's
I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
so it's another Vital Lacerda game. And as all Vital Lacerda game is a complicated game, and I wanted to play the original Kanban for some time now, because I really have fond memories of us playing it. So when Vicky explained the game to me, the Kanban EV, she taught the game, I was thinking, wow, I was just remembering this game more complicated. So I'm either a seasoned board gamer now, where Kanban is another afternoon with tea for me and it's everything so easy, or it's Ian O'Toole's graphic design that really made the difference.
I think so. I think so. Because the first game, my biggest complaint was the board made no sense at all. Like I never knew where anything. So I think his design definitely made a difference.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is clean now and it makes sense. I mean, you go to the design room, you get some design upgrades to work on your desk, you get the parts, which is the next room, you install them in the test cars, you send the test cars to the track, you test them, and now you have tested designs and you score a ton of points. So basically, I explained the game like in just one sentence. I'm very proud of this. The game is fantastic. It's complicated, but it makes sense. Well, as much as Lacerda games make sense, but but it's fast, and most importantly, it's fun.
That's right. It was always fast. We used to joke that 2 hours to teach, 1 hour to play. That was
yeah, remember that? Yeah. So we're thinking, why was it fun? It was also fun, and we were thinking Sandra, which is the boss that is going around and is evaluating your performance, and she's deducting.
Fucking hates her.
Exactly, and she's deducting points. This really encourages some unforgettable moments of role playing that happen in this game too. So, oh, fucking Sandra is coming back. And so it's again becomes even more thematic to the point. And I guess Sandra is giving some sarcasm in the game and commentary on the modern world's work environment.
Yeah.
When, if you think about it, in the end, it doesn't really matter what you have accomplished in the factory. It's about how much time you have in the meeting to brag for your achievements. And this is what gives you points.
That's true.
So everybody had an excellent time. I really enjoyed the game. I was remembering again. I said I remember the original Kanban was fun, but this was even more fun, and I really recommend it.
Good.
And that was all I wanted to say. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to talk about.
Did your friend enjoy it? The one who bought it?
Yes, and I think we all agreed that it's better than On Mars.
Yeah, I was right about something. I'm so excited.
I don't know if I mean we need to play Vinhos, which is supposed to be one of the Vital Lacerda's best games.
I'm trying to trade for it in the math trade. So if I get it, I'll let you know. So,
fingers crossed.
But all in all, thank you for sharing that. I'm really glad. Literally, something that happened on this podcast had a real life impact somewhere, and then we got feedback from that, and turns out we do know a little bit about board games. So I'm thrilled that you shared that. It actually got me excited because you remember, I don't know if you remember, Dima loved Kanban, but we both hated teaching it. So like if the Ian O'Toole thing helps it to that extent that it makes it easier to learn, might be worth picking up again since you love the game so much. So yeah,
Elias, I wanted to add to what you said before that we are changing people's lives.
Thank you. But now, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, speaking of life-changing things, we would usually go straight into the Hippocratic Corner. But today, it's a little bit different. Today is the first part 1 out of 4 of our celebration of our top 50 games of all time. So, as you might realize, 47 is a few numbers before 50. And for episode 50, we were planning on releasing our top 50 games of all time. Now, that would be a crazy long episode. So, what we've decided to do is over the next 3 episodes, 47, 48, 49, we'll be releasing numbers 50 to 41, 40 to 31, 30 to 21. And then by the time episode 50 rolls around, the one and only Dima is going to come back on and co-host, and she's going to present to us our top 20. And why will she be presenting it, you might be asking? Well, Ipo and I both created independently from each other our top 60 games of all time. And we sent them to Dima, so we don't know each other's. And Dima assigned a point value from obviously most points at 1 to least points at 60, and compiled those two, and then generated a table of our joint top 50 of all time. And she's going to come back in episode 50 with not just the top 20, which we don't know, but more importantly, she's going to give us like little facts, like what was the highest ranked game that didn't make the list and stuff like that. So,
because she's a nerd.
We're very excited about that. She is a nerd. At the end of the day, she was a co-host of this podcast. So today we're doing our first part 1, numbers 50 to 41. I'm very excited. Ipo, how did you feel making your top 60 list?
I'm extremely excited, and it was so much fun, and I had to reconsider all of my ratings about the games in my collection, and I really changed a lot of things, but at the same time, a lot of things stayed the same. So it's fun to see how your taste is evolving during the time.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if evolving is the right word. Maybe it's just changing.
For sure, some games dropped like significantly. Like basically when I made it, I was like, is it as good as the others at this rating? Not really. And then I would drop it, and then it would drop like, it was maybe a game I'd played years ago. So it's very interesting. You're right. Like it's nice to revisit that's kind of why I like doing these lists, is it's nice to revisit how your tastes have changed over time. So
but it's very ambiguous. Like the criteria is like, do I have fun when I play this game? Do I want to play this game? Yeah. I mean, so the listeners should take this with a grain of salt. And
this is not the best 50 games of all time. This is our top 50 games of all time.
It's our favorite.
And I'll be very honest. Yeah, for me, the main thing is the feeling I get, which is, do I want to keep playing it? Do I want to play it again? Do I have fond memories playing it? I don't judge the game based on the technical qualities of game design.
Exactly.
It's just an emotional thing. So you might see a party game ranked really high and a game that is much more of a feat of design that's not in there. So, without further ado, shall we jump into it?
Yes.
We had a couple ties in this top numbers 50 to 41. So what we do is we do like ranking styles. So if numbers 50 and 49 are tied, they're both ranked 49, and then there won't be a 50, right? Like
I thought that Dimas was going to resolve that ties, but
she did. You mean like a tiebreaker? No,
yeah. Like I prefer this game more than the other, so let's put it on top.
I can speak for her if you like, but I don't think I should. So we can leave it to our listeners to be tiebreakers when necessary. So speaking of, the very first set was a tie. So 50 and 49. So there is no number 50. Tied at number 49, we have 2 games. Wavelength and Tashkalar, Arena of Legends. Ipo, Wavelength didn't make my top, so why don't you tell us why this game is so good that it would make your top 50 games of all time?
So, I think we have reviewed this game in the past, and I said that this is a party game that really starts discussions in the group, which is a thing I very much appreciate. And it starts really silly discussions, like, is Britney Spears so good to be in the upper right part of this, rating in the Wavelength, or is she a really bad singer and just a pop singer? So it's amazing, silly conversations that you make with your friends and you're having fun, and they can drag all night. I mean, I really don't care who wins in this game, and I don't think anybody does. So I believe
I'll never forget when we were playing, and it was Yoda, I think, and we put it. Basically, it was like, how human do they look?
yeah, I
And you
remember.
were like, you put it quite not human, or yeah, or quite
Um,
very human,
yes,
very close to
I said
human.
quite close to
And we
human.
were like, how does Yoda look human? And you're like, well, I think he looks very close to human compared to, say, a ping pong ball.
Yes, I remember that.
That was great.
So I
That was
believe
great.
it's the perfect premise for a party game, and I don't know if I have any other party games higher than this. I guess I have, but yeah, I mean, all the games in our top 50 will be excellent games. So I don't know.
Of course, we're here to rave about them.
Yes, so that's a good thing because now, I mean, I'm gonna say there are like 100 games out there that are excellent and you can recommend to anybody. But so these 50 games are really amazing, and well, Wavelength is one of them. Wavelength,
Yeah.
by the way, is was published in 2019, and I have here that it's 455 rated game in Board Game Geek.
Oh, very cool. Teshkalar, which is what was tied with Wavelength, is a Vladach Vatil game. I'm sure there will be other Vladach Vatil games on this list, and I'm pretty sure it came onto this list because of how highly I feel about this game.
Yeah,
So that's why I'll talk about it mostly. But it's a brilliant game. I've played it over 50 times, which for anyone who knows me knows that that's an insane number because I don't play games over and over again for the most part. Um, it's this game where you're doing basically Teshkalar is like you're placing pieces down to summon things, and when you summon them, they have effects. But at the end of the day, it's basically a really cool spatial puzzle. That's what the game is. It's a spatial puzzle in sequence. So you're not just placing stuff down to summon something now, but what you're placing down to summon now should have an effect that will allow you to summon something right after. So you're trying to chain these sequences together. And I really love playing it. I have the game, like the physical copy, I have all the expansions, but I also love playing it on Board Game Arena, specifically not like asynchronous. Like I'm playing it asynchronous because I like to have time to think about like the multiple different ways to do this. It's an abstract game at its core, and I love this game. Like when I play this game, I could spend hours just like staring and trying to figure out like my strategy for the next multiple things. And it gets better and better when you're familiar with not I'm not super familiar like exactly with all the pieces in each deck, but I know the style of like patterns that each deck likes to build. And so because of that, I know how to like counter my opponents and stuff like that. It's a great game. It's a skill game for sure. The more you play, the better you get at it. Um, and I have nothing but good things to say about it. That's nothing but didn't say about nothing but good things to say about anything on this list, really. But one of my absolute favorite games, and I'm really glad that it at least made the cutoff on this list. So,
I want to
Tash
say
Kalar.
I want to say about this game that it's really like it's chess like if you think about it.
It
Like
really is.
you
Yeah.
can analyze things, and then you say you like to play asynchronous because you have the time to think about things. So it really reminds me of chess, which is a high praise, I guess, for a game. But at the same time, it's very hard for me to put a high value in two-player games.
Sure.
I don't know why. I checked my list, and I had in my top 60 I had only three two-player games, and two of them didn't make it to the top 50, which is Few Acres of Snow and Sky Team, which is a new two-player game about it's a co-op game though, that one, where you fly an aircraft.
Yeah.
The third one made it to the list, so no spoilers.
Yeah,
If
let's not assume things didn't make the list, like a few acres of snow, and see where they end up later on this list. So
tr-
maybe don't tell
true.
people what didn't make it. When we oh, by
Oh,
the way, guys, we don't know anything. Dima is giving this list to us 10 games at a time. So we only know right now 50 to 41. Before the next episode, she'll send us the next 10, then the next 10, and then she'll present the last 20. So we don't know if certain games did make the
yeah.
list that we're
Oh,
talking
I
about.
just realized
Yeah.
that you are absolutely right. Yeah, I don't know if it didn't make it to
Yeah,
the list. So yeah,
exactly.
forget what I said. Uh, I want to.
Let's go to yeah, go for it.
I remember you said before that we voted games based on our experience and memories and the emotions. But this game, Tascalar, even if I didn't vote for it, it's a high pressure. It's design. The design is amazing. I mean, compare it with chess, it should be enough. And it's Vlada, so
It's
we
very
know
high praise. Yeah,
it's made by the best designer maybe of all time. So
that's what I think anyway. Yeah.
so
Okay, great.
yeah, I think it's
Now,
probably. I think Vlada is a genius, but I love Martin Wallace's games more. And that's a different
those are
discussion.
two of my favorite designers. I can't. Yeah.
Different.
Would you like to give us the number 48 you put on
Yes,
this?
of course. Number 48 is a game that I assume I voted only myself, and it's In the Year of the Dragon, which is
I voted for it, so we
really.
definitely yeah.
So I'm completely wrong about my assumptions. Okay.
Yes, please stop making them.
Yes, I stop now. It's rated 428 in Board Game Geek. It's a game from the past, from 2007, by Stefan Feld. I consider In the Year of the Dragon also an achievement of game design. Uh, it's very strange to describe this game. It's a very easy to teach game. It's a short game, and the basic feeling is that you're gonna fail in everything. This is the feeling that you're experiencing. That you have so many things to do, and you're gonna fail in most of them. So it's highly stressful game, but at the same time, each thing that you do in this game is very important and can make a difference. And I love it. I don't know.
It's
How
definitely a
you feel about
game
it.
in where like you only have a few actions over the course of the game, so you really need to maximize on those. And it's very brutal in the sense that it's maybe Stefan Feld's most like basically you're trying to not get bad things happen to you. You're not being rewarded with points. You know how everyone says his games are point salad? This one's different. This one's the opposite. This one's like bad things are happening to you. Try to avoid as many bad things as possible. It's definitely it's in my top three like favorite Feld games, which are In the Year of the Dragon, Trajan, and Aquasphere. Those are my favorite Stefan Feld games, followed closely by things like Castles of Burgundy and stuff. But those three have a special place in my heart specifically. So phenomenal game, needs more attention for sure, and would be cool to get a new edition of it because people like pretty things, and it's a very scant Elia game from like 20 years ago. So great game, really glad it made it. In the Year of the Dragon, Stefan
I
Feld.
I want to add that it's a very strange thing that it's a successful game, and I remember James Stegmaier saying that he wants his games for the players to feel that they're achieving something good, or that they're achieving something, and this is the complete opposite.
Yeah. I guess what you're achieving is not dying horribly
Yeah,
every month
yeah.
of the year. So yeah,
So yes,
good stuff.
so
So,
back to you for 47. So I guess you're doing the even games. I'm doing the even. You're doing the odd
well,
numbers.
when we do ties, throws all that off. So let's
Yeah.
just go back and forth. How about that? So ranked at number 47 game of all time, and the fact that it's made it should show you how highly I ranked it, because I'm pretty sure Ipo hasn't played it. It's Small City by Alban Viard. I specifically have played the deluxe edition, but either way is fine. This is a game, I'll put it very frankly for you. Its attempt was to redesign Antiquity. That's what his goal was when he made it, and that's
Really?
what he tried to do. And it feels like Antiquity.
No
So
way.
yeah, it feels absolutely like Antiquity. I would say Antiquity is better because he focused on changing the wrong things. Like the game is just as fiddly as Antiquity. He didn't even bother trying to fix the fiddliness. But it's a brilliant game. It's the best for me, the best city building game other than Antiquity ever made. So I adore it. I love it. Um, it's really also very harsh and brutal. There's like a punishment system of how much pollution, again, just like Antiquity. Um, but unlike Antiquity, where you're on a shared board, you each have your own board that you're building on. But it's possible for citizens on your board to travel between towns. So to go from my board to
Oh,
people's boards around and take jobs, which affects their economy and stuff like that. If you're a fan of Antiquity, if you're a fan of city building, I highly recommend Small City. It's our number 47 game of all time.
okay. I have never played this game. Now I want to play it so badly. That was like the best selling points ever. I mean, I love city builders, and you're saying that it's based on antiquity. I mean, what else do I need?
That's
Uh,
right.
okay, that was Small City. We're going to 46, riding up the ladder, and 46 is the seventh continent, which is
Nice.
number 110 in Board Game Geek, game published in 2017. And for those that they don't know anything about this game, it's an exploration game, it's an adventure game, it's a cooperative game, and it has this brilliant mechanism that I believe I first saw in Robinson Crusoe, where you are acquiring objects that you can combine and make better objects that will help you in your adventure. There is a curse on you, and thematically, you're just trying to remove the curse from your shoulders. But the thing that is most, I think, uh, not highlighted. It's the most obvious thing that you're gonna notice about this game is the size of the map. So the seventh,
Massive.
the seventh continent is actually a continent. So it's a map made of tiles that you reveal in each of your turns, and in the end, it's the size of I would say is what eight seated diners table, dining table, right? Right?
It's
Some
big. Yeah.
something like that. So what's your opinion about this game? I mean,
It didn't make my list, but I know you must have ranked it very high based on where it showed up. But it's a game, like, to put it mildly, there are things I don't like about it, right? Which are I don't like having to restart things over and over again. That's honestly the biggest criticism. The other thing is I don't really like always having to search for cards in that. It's a bit
oh
annoying
yeah,
to
yeah,
always be doing that for hours. But even with all that, even with the fact that I had it and I traded it, every like few months I get an itch where I'm like, maybe I should pick up a copy of Seventh Continent and play it again. Like it's just like because it's such a cool concept. And as a person that loves maps and like just like you, we both really enjoy a map and cartography. Seventh Continent is the best map game because if you want to play really well, you'll
yeah.
create the map. And they even sell a
Yes,
cartographer's book that you can use.
that's a
I
very
know
good
you
point.
made
Yeah.
one out of Excel. Yeah. So every now and then I still get the itch. So I'm glad to see it in our list. And thanks for bringing it up. Seventh Continent was number 46. Now, moving on to our number 45 game of all time, the 45th favorite game of tabletop sessions of all time. And it's still, to my greatest shame, a game I've not
Mhm.
yet played. Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh,
Brass Birmingham.
interesting. Okay, so this is the number one game in Board Game Geek right now. It was published in 2018, but I think the Brass Lancashire game was published in 2004 or something. It's a game from Martin Wallace, which is my favorite designer. It's an economic game with a very dry theme where you're basically moving around coal and producing pottery and beer and steel back in the early 18th century. Uh, but it works. I mean, the economy works. It's a very tight economy. It has this amazing mechanism where everything is interconnected. So you need one resource to do a factory, and you can buy these resources from other people's factories. And this affects the not only the quantity of the resource but also the price of the resource. And I mean, the game has all these nice elements of a great economic game, and it was really hard for me to pick Brass Birmingham or Brass Lancashire, which is the first, let's say, edition of the game. They made some um, changes in Brass Birmingham where the game is more, let's say, moves smoothly and it's more forgiving to new players. And after a lot of consideration, now I prefer Brass Birmingham. A year ago, if you would ask me, I would have said Brass Lancashire is the best one. So it's not really a great difference, and it's of course a great game.
I'm sure if I had played this, it would be even higher on the list because it's exactly the kind of game that we all love in this group. And it's like my biggest embarrassment that I haven't played Brass yet. And now that it's number one and everyone has played it, I don't want to because I'm an asshole and I'm like, if everyone likes it, I don't want to like it, but I should. And yeah, for those of you complaining that it's this low, it's just because I haven't played it. But thank you for bringing it on there and for giving us your consideration of which Brass was preferred. Would you like to tell us our next two, which are
Yes.
tied?
Oh yeah, it's a tie in 43. And should I mention both of them? Like
Yeah, absolutely.
43 is War of the Ring and Twilight Struggle.
Those are
So
some good games, man. That's some
so
good
that
games.
so that was the spoiler I did before that there is a two-player game that I voted for and it's in the list, and that's Twilight Struggle, which is, I mean, it's now number 13 in Board Game Geek. It used to be number one. It's a game from 2005. It's a GMT game. It's a two-player game where the theme is the Cold War, and one is playing the Soviet Union, the other is playing the United States, and it's an area majority game where you're playing cards, but it's so thematic because the cards are actual events from the Cold War era, and you're I don't know, you're playing the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it has an effect on the board immediate, and there's so many things, and it's a beautiful board. Uh, it's a it's one of the very few two-player competitive games that I really enjoy.
I also really enjoy Twilight Struggle. I think it's a phenomenal game. I think it does reward um, repeat plays. Maybe it's not about
Yeah.
repeat, but it's about familiarity with the deck. And
Yes.
um, if you've ever played and you felt like, oh, whatever, this game, too much luck in the dice rolls, what I would recommend is to put your ego aside, but then play with someone who knows the game better than you, because they will show you sort of the skills and if you just observe them, you'll learn like how they use, the space track to like as a way to get rid of certain cards that they just don't want to see into play. So the fact that there's luck there is not as valuable as you might think, because the real value is discarding the card and stuff like that that you can really learn from more experienced players. And it's one of the first games where you would get cards that help your opponent, And if you play it, they get to do that event, and it's in your hand, and you have to play most of the cards in your hand. So sometimes you're going to do things that help your opponent. But the trick is all about timing and making sure that the impact that helps your opponent is as minimal as possible or can be undone if possible. So, really good one. And for War of the Ring, my 2 cents on it, I don't need to talk about it because I just talked about Dune War for Arrakis. So, Dune War of the Ring is everything about Dune, but more epic and Lord of the Rings. So if that gives you sort of an idea, it's more epic. It's Lord of the Rings. Combat's more epic. It takes a little longer, but I like it better. And but every good thing I said about balancing and dice and all that stuff, and about cooperation and against learning the game, and War of the Ring has it in spades, and it's to me like one of the best gaming experiences you can have, especially if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. Obviously, if you're not a Lord of the Rings or a Dune fan, don't play these games.
Okay,
But yeah,
I just remember I have a fun story about Twilight Struggle. So I think 20 years ago or something like that, a friend of mine suggested that we should play this game, and he had it in Excel. So I don't know who programmed that, but it was an Excel sheet, and there was a map, and we're exchanging files by email. So you're doing a move, then you're sending this to the other person. It was going back and forth like that. And I remember that because you said about the luck in the game and the dice rolling, that this guy was, of course, it was his favorite game, and he knew the deck from heart. And I started playing this game, and I considered myself a good player, but I was losing badly in every game. And the game grew in me, and I was thinking, okay, now I'm playing better. Now I know the cards. Now I have better strategy, and I can anticipate things. And after 20 games, I lost all 20 games, and I was exhausted. I was thinking, okay, this is a competitive game. I don't enjoy it anymore because I don't have a chance with this guy. So even with the dice roll, even after 20 games, the level of this guy was so high compared to me that I couldn't win.
agreed. It's definitely a skill game. Like, I originally bought Twilight Struggle and played it with a bunch of people like me who had never played it. So Dima, Ricardo, stuff like that. And I wasn't having fun. I felt like I was winning, or like it's all about like dice, rolls and stuff like that. So I got rid of it. I think you got my copy actually, Bo. And then I
Yeah.
uh I was starting to play with Eugenio. Eugenio had to do something in the hospital, and Eugenio had played that game dozens of times, and he was quite good at it. And he just kept beating me over and over and over again, even when I thought I was doing quite well. And that's when I really gained an affection for the game. So, definitely a game that you gain a lot by playing somebody who's better than you. And just because you told a cool story about Twilight Struggle, I think I should tell one about War of the Ring, which is not a story, but basically every time I've played this game, it has come down to the wire. Like, it has come down to
Oh.
you're about to gain your last points as the shadow, but the Frodo is standing over Mount Doom, holding the ring on a chain and is about to drop it in. Like, that's how close it is. And every time it has been like that. There's never been a game where one side has
I,
felt like they can't win,
I,
and
I
it's really
don't
been
think
like
that's
that.
true. I remember
Why?
I remember playing this game with Sergio, and you were playing with Dima, and you destroyed us. That's what I remember at least.
Yes, but that was your fault.
Okay, so
That was
it
that
happens.
well that's because you weren't. So Ipo has this problem, which is where when he's working with people, he doesn't express his plans, he just does them. So he was working with Sergio, and me and Dima were working as an efficient unit as the free peoples, and he was not talking to Sergio, and so he would do one thing and Sergio would do another thing, and they wouldn't complement each other. So it was kind of not fair. It was like
uh,
playing against two half armies.
I,
So
I wouldn't
yeah.
agree with that because I remember in the second page of my CV the word teamwork appears. So So
And we all know that everything on a CV is
yeah,
100%
exactly,
accurate.
that's true.
Does that say you don't work well with people? You just do your own thing and are nice to everyone around you.
It's not that you don't work well;
All
it's just
right.
that you don't work with people.
Exactly. Like you're working alone with other people.
Yeah.
But every time I've played with people that are working together or 1v1, it has been a very close game. That is the only experience I've had that was not a close game.
Okay.
But yeah, moving on to actually another tie. So
Yeah.
here we go
To,
for number 41, tied for number 41 of all time. We have a tie between Pax Viking and Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game. Explain yourself with Dead of Winter.
so I played Dead of Winter again last year because a friend of ours bought this game here in Qatar with a lot
Talk
of.
about ending on a bummer.
Sorry.
Talk about ending today's episode on a bummer. Ending with Dead of Winter is so
No,
depressing.
I guess we're gonna end with Pax Viking. So, but Dead of Winter, I can never forget how much fun I had this game playing it with Lena as a campaign, which is something we did basically because it's not a campaign. It's just, I believe, 10 different scenarios in the basic game. And I was really excited. I remember myself really excited coming back from work. Lena was waiting for me with the board game set up on the table. And we had an excellent, I believe it was a week. I don't think we played it more than a week because 10 scenarios, I guess, uh, if we were playing like one every day, so maybe 2 weeks. And I played it again last year with a friend of mine here again. And we played it 5 players. There was a traitor. I realized traitor is a very uh, not minor mechanism, but not a very interesting mechanism for me in this game. The most important part is fighting the zombies, and I believe the cooperative version of it is where the game is really shining. So that's why it's still there. It's the best, I guess, zombie apocalypse game for me, and it's still highly recommended.
Okay, interesting. I do not enjoy that game. I particularly do not enjoy the exposure dice where you just roll the worst possible result. But yeah, I'm glad you like it. And PAX Viking for me is a really entertaining PAX game. It's one of the ones I would recommend to sort of learn the PAX system. It's about as simple as like PAX Premier, simpler probably than PAX Premier, but it has a board, and it's a different style of game. Um, it's called PAX Viking, but it's very much about like historical Vikings, not like Vikings like Blood Rage and Valhalla. It's very much like, oh, like we're establishing trade in the East, we're establishing a trading post in the Pechenegs and stuff like that. So
So
um,
it's
it,
PAX, which means peace, right?
it's a PAX game. Yeah, there you go. Sure, why not? It's great because every time while I was playing the game, I got the feeling of PAX that I like, which I didn't have from PAX Emancipation, which is why it's on my math trade list. But the reason ultimately is that with PAX Emancipation, I felt like I was just doing sort of like there was one track and I was on it, and I kind of knew like this is what I was doing, and it's kind of like a co-op game, or like it is a co-op game, or like a game where there's like a track and you do it. But PAX Viking had the thing that I love about PAX games, which is like you're about to win if this gets back to you. What can I do to screw that up? And then
Mhm.
like you're doing everything you can, and not just screw that up, but tilt the tables in my favor, which is what is great about PAX Renaissance and Emancipation, not Emancipation, PAX Renaissance, PAX Porfiriana, and PAX Premier, is it has that like, all right, I'm just trying to manipulate the game state, the situation that we're all experiencing to be less good for you and better for me. That's really what a PAX game is. And PAX Viking does have that. And it has that with a simpler rule set, clearer to understand because it's on a board rather than on cards. And because of that, it just makes sort of a good first step into PAX. I would definitely recommend this as sort of the intro PAX game before setting up somebody with PAX Porfiriana and then eventually PAX Renaissance. But because of that, it has those great qualities, and it felt it felt like a quintessential PAX game, and I enjoyed myself significantly. Whenever I played it, that's why it made it so high on my list. So tied for number 41 of all time on our top 50 games of all time is Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game, and PAX Viking.
So I have never played PAX Viking, but I'm a big fan of PAX games. And what's a better ending than ending today's podcast with a PAX game?
I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of PAX games on this list, but at least we're starting with one. Hopefully, we can get one in every set of 10. That would be great. We can,
which is by the way, PAX Viking is a 2,608 rating in Board Game Geek. Not a very
that's not right.
Not very popular game.
Yeah, it should be more popular than it is for sure. And I think the reason is probably people think they're getting like a Blood Rage style game, but they actually are getting a PAX game. And if they're not ready for a PAX game, if you open the box thinking you're going to play Blood Rage and then it turns out to be a PAX game, you might be having a strange experience. But most people I've played it with do enjoy themselves. And as always, the game is not balanced, nor does it claim to be, because there's a massive deck of cards and you're only getting a subset of that. But as always, the benefit of the game is the way you play the game is you have to adapt to the game state. Like, that is critical. That is quintessential to PAX. So that's why it felt like a PAX game. It's all about constant changing world and constantly changing your position in that world. So I think a pretty solid 50 to 41, Ipo. Pretty yes. No major complaints from this list other than of myself, of having never played Brass, which I think is a damn shame. Yeah. So that's the only criticism I have.
I'm thinking if I go to somebody's place and I see these 10 games, I'm gonna think, oh my god, this guy is amazing. This guy has a very great
Can
taste.
I be your friend?
Yeah. Games. Yes, correct.
A really good one. And make sure to jump back in for the next episode 48, in which we're going to be talking about our numbers 40 to 31. And just keep following that along all the way until the grand celebration on episode 50, in which we will complete our 50 best games of all time. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram or YouTube at Tabletop Sessions. Join the conversation and share a fun story of board game shenaniganism. And let us know what you thought about these number 50 to 41 of our top 50 of all time over at our Board Game Geek Guild or on Instagram or YouTube, or, send us a message somewhere. We'd love to hear your thoughts about this first of the next 4 episodes. You can find the link to all of these in the episode description. We'll be back in a month. And until then, to quote one of my favorite writers, God damn it, you've got to be kind. Say bye, Ipo.
Bye, guys. Have a great month.
Tabletop top session.